Hello world, welcome to my channel. My name is Wanai, and on my channel I talk about money, investing, self-improvement, and anything that makes your life better. In the past few years, the housing market has proven to us that it has its own mind and its own agenda. It kept on going up despite we just gone through one of the worst pandemic in 2020. Owning a home for an average person became further and further away, especially if you're living in a high-priced market. It just seems impossible to be able to afford a house on a regular income. Unfortunately, we don't have the power to control the world, but we can control ourselves. So when time is tough, we just have to get creative and think outside of the box to make the situation work for us. That's why today I want to talk to you about house hacking. I'm going to cover 3 things in this video about house hacking, and hopefully after this video you know what it is and know where to start with. First, what is house hacking? House hacking is you renting out part of your primary residence to a tenant in order for you to collect rent to offset your living expenses. In some of the cases, of course it depends on your market, the price range, you might be able to live for free or even generate some cash flow from the house you're living in. Now let's talk about the benefit of house hacking. Of course, saving money is one of the biggest benefits, as it's pretty obvious, but I actually want to start with one of the most important benefits that house hacking is providing us, which is tapping into real estate investment with training wheels. We all know real estate is one of the main vehicles for people to invest their money and achieve financial freedom. But investing in real estate is scary, especially if you're new. Nowadays, you can invest in stock market for as little as $100 or maybe $10 or $1. So worst come to worst, you lose that $100. And it's not as scary as dealing with tenant. You might get sued, you might have to get a new roof. Anything goes wrong, we're talking about thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars. But real estate does have its charm, and a lot of people still want to get into real estate investing. Instead of buying a piece of real estate for investment to start with, house hacking gave us an opportunity to see how it is to be a landlord, to be a homeowner. Throughout this process, you learn how to select a tenant, deal with a tenant, how to collect your rent on the first of the month, and you also get an opportunity to find out that things around the house just break for no reason, and you get an idea of how much it would cost you to fix everything, to replace things in the house. So when you are ready to become an investor to buy your first investment property, you are more confident and more prepared than a newbie. Now let's go back to the money saving part. Living expenses is the largest expenses for majority of the people. Whether it's paying rent or mortgage, it takes a big chunk of money out of your pocket every month. So eliminating that expenses or lower that expenses dramatically will change your financial life more than you can imagine. And I challenge you to do this calculation yourself. Lowering your monthly living expenses to half and put the other half in stock market, assuming a 7% annual return, and see where you are in 5 years. And put that number in the comment down below, and let's see how much money we could be saving just by lowering your living expenses in half. A lot of times people cannot start real estate investing is because of the down payment. When you're purchasing an investment property, the banks will require you to put at least 20, a lot of times 25 to 30% down payment because it's an investment property. When you buy a house for yourself to live in, the guidelines become a lot more friendly. You can put as little as 5, 10, 15% as the down payment. A lot of people mention FHA loan, which allows you to put as little as 3.5% as the down payment. But I personally don't like FHA because of the structure of the loan, the requirements, and also the cost of the loan. But that's a whole different topic. But just know that it's possible to put as little as 3.5%. And also, when we're talking about primary residence, it's not just a house. You can buy a house, but you can also buy a small multi-unit, which means 4 units or less. And if you're living in one of the units, then it qualifies as a primary residence. when you go get a loan, the rate might be a little bit different, but it was still considered as a primary resident, which allows you to put lower down payment. Moving on to the next thing we all love to talk about, that is tax. T-A-X. Tax. But relax. We're talking about the benefit of house hacking, so in this content, tax is not a bad thing. When you own a house, it comes with a lot of expenses. You have to maintain the house, you have to repair things here and there, you have to pay property tax every year, and when you're living in that house by yourself or with your family, those are just expenses. However, when you're renting out part of your house and you're collecting rent, those expenses become tax deductible. You can write off part of your property tax, your maintenance, your repairs, and it will lower your taxable income. So not only it's saving you money by lowering your living expenses, but also saving your money on your tax bill. Alright, now we know the benefits of house hacking and why I believe everybody should do it. Let's move on to how to do it. Let's start with the entry level. If you own a house or a condo and you have some extra bedroom, you can rent out that extra bedroom to a tenant. And of course, I know that you have to share your house with someone, and a lot of times it's a stranger, and you have to share some common space like your kitchen, your living room. But hey, it's kind of like going back to college, and you get to enjoy all the benefits that I just mentioned for house hacking. Next on the list, if you're living in an area where houses have basement, then you might be able to rent out that basement space, or maybe you can live in that basement space and rent out the house for a higher rent. The good thing about having a basement or finished basement is that a lot of times a basement has its own kitchen, living room, and everything. So you don't really have to share a lot of the common space like I just mentioned if you're renting out a bedroom in the house. If you don't have a basement, but you have an ADU in the back of your house or detached from your house, it's even better. You can rent out the ADU to a tenant and you don't have to share any space in your house. Or what I would do is I will live in the ADU and rent out the main house for a higher rent. Now we're gonna go to the top of the tower of house hacking, which is owning a multi-unit property. Living in one unit and rent out the rest of the units out. In residential space, a multi-unit property includes up to 4 units. And you can buy it just like how you buy a single family house. You get same type of financing options and you have same requirement for down payment. A lot of people who are successfully house hacking and eliminating or even generating cash flow from house hacking are in this space. Alright, these are some common ways of house hacking and lower your monthly expenses. And of course, there's so many more ways to do it and you can just get creative based on your situation. Don't limit yourself to one thing or another. The best and the most important step you can take is to get started. Also, this is important to know. When you're getting a loan from a lender as a primary resident, they require you to live in that property for at least a year. Which means after a year, you can go move on to next property and rent out the space you're using. So you can do this every 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years and accumulate your property under your portfolio. I hope this video provided a little bit more insight on how to start house hacking and why you should definitely start doing it. Don't focus on what's out of our control. Focus on what we can do to make our situation better for ourselves. I'll see you next week. Bye!